Hello, my name is Mike, and I'm learning disabled and have ADD. I'm making this video because YouTube has been a great place for me to solve problems. I've been researching different things on YouTube for quite a few years, and I feel like it's a great place to give back. I feel like I've been successful. I retired about a year ago and had a part-time job for a while, but I'm fully retired last February. And I want to give people hope that it's possible that you can go through your life struggling with ADD and learning disabilities, and if you don't give up and you persevere and you get help from people you can trust, that you can make it through this difficult time. I'm thinking my audience here on YouTube will be people that are struggling with ADD and learning disabilities. There are also people out there that are parents that have children that they want to be successful, and they love them very much and would do anything to see them be successful in the school environment, work environment. So I've been thinking about making this video for about 6 months. This is very difficult for me to sit here in front of the camera and then put it on YouTube, but I'm going to take a risk, because risk is all about destroying fear. And so I made a list. Of course, we don't get off on rabbit trails as ADD folks do, to help me to stay focused on this video not being 30 minutes long. Try to keep it down to 15. The disabilities that I have, I learned about when I was about 38 years old. My son actually was diagnosed, and we took him for testing, and after the psychologist told us what he had found about my son, I thought, you know, it sounds like exactly what I was dealing with. Will you test me? And so the results came that, of course, I was ADD, and then also the way they tell people about where you are in relation to other people's reading ability is they'll say, if you're in a room of 100 people, you're going to be somewhere between 0 and 100 as far as your reading capability. I was at the sixth percentile. That means, so 6 minus 100 is 94. So 94 people in that room could read better than I. By this time, you know, I had a family, I had a regular job. I was hoping for a lot of help, not only with my work environment, but relationships. You know by now that relationships are difficult, trusting people is difficult. And let's see, where was I going with that? See what I mean? I get distracted. But yeah, so not only did I have ADD, but I had a lot of problems learning in school. I did try Ritalin for about 4 years, and all of a sudden just kind of quit working. I'm not taking any medication now. I've tried most of them, but I just feel like for me I'm better off without them. What I was about to say though was in my work environment, no, that's not what I was going to say. Back to the, so that's why I made these notes. I first learned about my learning disability when I was in kindergarten, and I have to tell you, from the time I was born till 5 years old, I lived in a regular neighborhood with friends around and had fun playing ball and doing what kids do, ride bicycles, but I never knew that I was learning disabled. The moment I went into kindergarten and the teacher asked me to be able to try to teach me to spell my first name, I struggled. Just learning that in kindergarten was very, very difficult. Then onward to first grade, same kind of problems. Math was not too bad. 2 oranges plus 2 apples each equals 4 fruit. I could kind of wrap my head around what was going on with mathematics, where the English language is just, so abstract, and people think in pictures and people think in words. And what I've found out is I think mostly in pictures. So when they first gave us our spelling list, I had to learn how to spell dog without looking at a sheet. I would write down D, and I was asked to, write this out, 20 or 30 times, and then I would be able to learn how to spell all these spelling words. And I would write the D, and by the time I looked back to the O, and then looked back to where I was working, the O totally vanished from my brain. So it took like all day to copy down one time all my spelling words. To this day, spelling is still difficult. My mathematics is pretty good. Got through high school just barely. I have a high school graduation story for you that's not real fun, but I made it. So anyway, back to the cheat sheet here. Kindergarten was difficult. I already told you about my diagnosis. Now, as we all know, we have to be problem solvers. It's really important to get help with solving problems, and I'll talk about Dr. Lehman later on in a different video, but he's all about helping people solve problems, and you can find him on the internet, and his strategy is pretty good. So I break down problem solving in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different areas of life. Emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. We all need to solve problems. Emotionally is difficult when we suffer loss, when we've tried as hard as we possibly could. And I know I would go back to school in September and have a great attitude and want to really succeed. And within 2 or 3 weeks I was behind everybody in the class. So that was a loss, and sometimes people get very sad, and your self-esteem goes downhill, and we become angry, and so we need to get help and seek people to help us with these issues, and that's how I dealt with that. Mentally, of course, I was talking about my self-esteem. I wanted to be successful. I really was genuinely trying hard, but it just didn't have what it took mentally to solve some of the school problems. World history, all those dates, all those events were very difficult. Like I said, math was okay. English was terrible, because who can tell me why we have to put ing on the end of a word? That really confused me until I realized I needed to be able to have a savings account, saving. Now it made sense, but they really didn't help me in 2nd grade with adding endings to word, and so they put me back in 1st grade to help me kind of catch up. That's mentally. And then physically, I recommend anybody with difficulties to get us into physical hobbies, playing baseball or basketball, going down to a local playground with a basketball, even if you're by yourself, running, swimming. Those are all things I really enjoyed, and to this day I still get in the pool in the wintertime and swim outdoors at lakes, and do some bicycling and playing in sports like racquetball. That all helps. Smashing that racquetball when you're angry is a wonderful way to get over some frustrations. Financially, budgeting is very important. Credit cards are, and I failed. I failed with credit cards. I was deep in debt, and I'll kind of go through the method to become a saver and have a budget, use a debit card, and cut up credit cards in the future. But for today, I want to just say that financially we have to be realistic. And spiritually, I do believe that I am loved by a creator, that this universe was created for me, and he's my higher power, and I believe that we all need help, not only from our family and people, but we need help from a force greater than ourselves that we can sense within our heart. I don't mean that physically, I mean spiritually. We have a heart, and if we seek out the Creator, He will help us through difficult times. All right, so also wanted to mention there are support groups and books available for us. If you're a parent, I strongly recommend support groups for you as you get through this difficult time, trying to help your children do well in school. And that's part of what I had to do too, because I had 2 children that are learned disabled and had difficulties. They're fine now, but it took a lot of work, not only from me, but teachers and anybody I could get to help. I do know that my audience is the learning disabled, people struggling with ADD, ADHD, and parents of children with difficult issues. I'm going to wrap this video up with saying I'm going to recommend one book. Oh, I got to tell you about my Kindle. How do I read books? Man, this is amazing. I got it about 6 years ago, and the Kindle people, if you call tech support, are wonderful. If you have any problems wanting to learn how to use it, they're there for you. They're not expensive. This is a Kindle Fire, reads to me. I highly recommend everyone to have some kind of a tablet that will help you with reading books. Yeah, the book, back to the book. So one of the books that helped me realize that the difficulties that I experience are okay, and I could, I'll be all right once I start using the gifts that I have, is Right Brain Children in the Left Brain World. There are children that think in words, and there are children that think in pictures, and those children grow up to be adults like me. And knowing that is helps us have a strategy to solving problems. And I know I keep on going back to solving problems, but it really is key for being successful in the future. So that's all for now, and please subscribe, like, and hit the bell. And based on your comments, I will try to make another video about successful strategies as far as what books I've read and how to help. I'm not a real big typer, so I don't feel like I'll be able to do a lot of responses, but I do plan on reading all your comments. So thanks for listening, and bye for now. Hang in there. It's possible.